It is the Dating Doc Podcast, August 17th, 2018. I am Chris, the Dating Doc, and today we're going to talk about the American way of dating, the good and the bad of the American way of dating. So first off, I am back from my deployment, and I'm back in uniform, serving in an active capacity again, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I can definitely say that I want to be the Bo Jackson of my career. What I mean by that is Bo Jackson was a all-star player in both football as well as baseball, and I figure, hey, why not be a good entrepreneur as well as military officer? So yes, Bo knows, for those that know Bo. So the American way of dating. Okay, so we're gonna specifically talk about the United States, right? Because if I say American, I'm talking about Mexico and Canada. And as a military man, since I alluded to that, I do have experience traveling overseas and also communicating with women in different parts of the world outside of U.S. And I would say that there definitely is an American way of communicating when it comes to dating compared to, say, parts like Mexico. I spent some time in Mexico City. I just came back from Kuwait. I've spoken to women in Germany, and there's different ways that they communicate versus the U.S. side of the house. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the number one thing that I noticed is that the American way of dating deals a lot with unwritten rules, and almost like you have to go through this labyrinth to get your message across, both receiving and giving. So, and I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but like, for example, Mexico City, I can say, hey, look, meet me at the coffee shop at 11 p.m. and we can just hang out, right? That is very literal. It is taken literal. There's no worries. There's no assumptions. It is just, that's the way it is. Meet at a coffee shop at 11 because either I need time to relax. As you know, there's the culture of the siesta in Spain, and that kind of has trickled down into Latin culture. So it is understood. Hey, look, 11 p.m. does not mean a booty call. 11 p.m. does not mean a booty call. So if you want to meet at Starbucks, 24/7 Starbucks, that's fine. I get it. The American way of dating may err a little bit more on assumptions. And don't worry, I'm going to balance the good and the bad here. So I don't want you guys thinking I'm going to totally slam our way of dating. I just want to make people aware that there is a different method to the mayhem when it comes to American dating. But like I was saying, American dating is full of assumptions. Oh crap, 11 p.m. Really? I got work the next day. Or what does this guy really want? And that's fine. It's a safety mechanism. It is that fight or flee response that kicks in. I think this has been exacerbated by unsolicited pics, by Craigslist killers on the news. So I understand it, but I do see it as, since it's kind of the land of mixed signals on the U.S. side. That's why that assumption is there. So that's number one. Number two way that I think U.S. dating is different from, say, international dating somewhere else is that we, in a way, we look at things analytically. What I mean by that, or dates. We look at saying, hey, look, this is a person I'm interested in. I have to text them, need to make plans for the weekend, and I need to make sure that my Friday's free, my Saturday's a little bit busy, so that's not going to work. So we think very analytical, setting our dates almost like a job interview, almost like an appointment. Where my experience, again, traveling to parts of Europe, being in Mexico, and what I have found is that there's a little bit more of on the whim. And that might even depend on where you live in the U.S. or what country you're at. Transportation can be a biatch. So if you know that, for example, You're in downtown Manhattan, and all you have to do is just walk a couple blocks and meet someone at the bar. You can totally go off on a whim versus if you've had an exhausting day and you got to take the dog out, you got to meal prep for the next day. Then that kind of goes more into the analytical, logistical side of the house. But I was able to test that theory in Mexico and Kuwait, and things were just a lot more on the whim, and almost haphazardly on the whim. So there were times that I had to adjust because I am used to being somewhat of a planner. I can be spontaneous, but it's a little bit hard to do that when you have, responsibilities or a kid. So it's both good and bad. I can't just drop things and go out and meet someone. But at the same time, I like the magic. I like the magic of saying, you know what, get out your house and let's go meet up. I thought it was really nice. Very, very nice. Number 3, and I think this deals more with if you're on a short-term vacation or of some sort. I would say that what the advantage of traveling overseas, what advantage it offers you is that you have a limited window to make memories, and they don't have to be sexual. They don't even have to be emotional. You just want to go out there and make memories. So your guard is down, okay? Because you're out there and you're not thinking, hey, I'm going to be swiping. It's another week back home, seeing who matches up, seeing who I go on a date with. You're out there and you're planning on minimizing the phone for just taking photos and going quickly on social media and just seeing what, letting people see what you're doing, and then going about your business. So when you're unplugged, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better, to be honest. When you're in the moment, it's a lot better to have things just kind of happen on the whim. And I'm sure that can happen for someone that's traveling internationally to the U.S. They can just enjoy themselves. And then that's when they become, that one fling, summer fling, that Spaniard summer fling that just went back home and you never heard from again. Or you did hear from them and now they have, they're on the second marriage and 3 kids. Who knows, right? So, there's a difference there. I think that the percentage would be that you would find that magical feeling elsewhere versus traveling to, say, Boston and you're a Texan. That window of opportunity is still going to be more in that mentality, that mindset of being still in the U.S. So that is definitely a plus side to outside U.S. dating. Plus, the other thing, too, is that some of these other countries, they have various factors. And this is where the U.S., I think, is awesome because we are not homogenous in our dating styles. And what I mean by that is you can be in one part of the South where a percentage of singles are more apt to want to get married, either because there's a huge separation of singles in that city or town. It might be cultural, versus, whether it's religious, cultural, political type of environment, conservative versus a liberal type of environment that promotes marriage or doesn't promote marriage and promotes more of a dating culture. I know that to be a fact because just 1 hour north of me in Austin, Texas has been number 1 in catfishing. Men catfishing, voted number 1. Versus San Antonio, that is just an hour south where I'm at right now. And it is much more of a place that promotes marriage compared to in Austin. So that's great. That's great that an hour separation has that disparity when it comes to dating. Not to mention driving skills, but we won't go into that. Now, if you go and you read about Japan is actually in a crisis. The percentage of the older generation is increasing. The retired demographic is increasing because, from what I hear and what I've read, is that Men are afraid to court and date women in Japan. That is a legit statistic. That is an issue. So if you did go to Japan on vacation, that might be something you're facing. Is that, especially if you're native Japanese, it's almost stereotypical, but there's readings out there that if you are an Anglo white guy, you do pretty well in some Asian countries. That's facts. As a military guy, I can personally attest that black men in Germany do well. I know that firsthand, and I'm sure a lot of veterans can attest to that. So that's the difference, is that in the U.S., you get a variety. You can go on Match.com and look up any city you're interested in, and you're going to get a variety. You're not going to be worried and saying, oh, crap, this woman's marriage-minded, or this woman's not even looking for a commitment. You get a variety. So folks, both men and women in the United States, we are more open. We're more flexible with what we're looking for. So that is an up. That is a plus for U.S. dating. Internationally, it's a little bit more homogenous depending on where you're at. When I'm in Mexico, one of the questions that is often asked that it's rare I get in the United States is, so where's your wife, or how many kids? And I say, well, I'm not married, and I have a daughter. So it's very common that I assume men are cheating, or that there's couples, kind of the side girl, the side boo, or side guy. Oh, that's my dog barking right there. If you hear that in the background, this is real right here, right? So yeah, that's a huge difference between the U.S. and some of these other places. You can look up their statistics and their growth rate. That just doesn't happen out of thin air. It happens because there's a culture of relationships, or procreating, or reproducing, or marriage. So, or not in the case of Japan. So that's one thing I do like about U.S. dating. Sarcasm is really not that is a U.S. only type of currency. I look at sarcasm and wit as currency when it comes to dating. It's something that does its currency towards chemistry. But quoting movies, sarcasm, things of that sort are a U.S. thing, much more than if you're to drop a movie quote or use be very meta with your sarcasm. In other places, it's just not going to get picked up as well. So that's another way that U.S. dating separates itself from the rest of the world. So I wanted to get that podcast out there. I wanted your views, especially I've worked with clients that are from India, and they have been fascinated with meeting someone from the States. And there's a little bit of a cultural barrier there, because I have to explain to them that we're not as literal with our intent, with our messaging. I'm also have worked with clients that there's, not only the language barrier, but even the fact that, let's say they're from the East Coast, and now they have to understand a little bit about this good old Texas culture. We do say hi to each other. We're not just, hustling and bustling, passing by. And that might be a culture shock for some folks. So I want to hear from you guys. I want you to chime in. Please tell me any story you have on either dating internationally, or if you are from out of the States, or if you're from overseas coming over here to the United States, let us know what you have pointed out about United States dating. Okay, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, let us know. So yeah, I'd be really interested. Chime in. Please chime in. Don't be shy. This is the Dating Doc, and I am signing out. Have a good day, folks.